We are currently living through the fastest era in human history, and it's breaking us. We feel burnt out, isolated, and constantly on edge. But what if the problem isn't the world, it's been how we've been taught to survive it? Today on our episode, we are uncovering the 10 things humanity needs to know right now. We're discussing why discomfort is actually your greatest teacher and why the modern pace of life is biologically impossible to sustain. And the truth about why you are never meant to carry this weight alone. We're stripping away the mask to show you that most conflict is just unresolved pain looking for a way out. This isn't just a conversation, it's a manual for reclaiming your humanity in a digital world. If you felt like you're running out of time, you need to hear point number 1. Let's get into it. Discomfort is not the enemy. Avoidance is.
Yeah.
Pain, uncertainty, and emotional friction are not signs that something are wrong. They're signs that something is alive or something that needs to be attested to. So discomfort is not the enemy. Why do people assume that discomfort is?
Because we've been taught from a young age that comfort should be strived for. And that's not necessarily been said, but it's people show with their actions that comfort is the priority. Like, in everyone's lounge there is a sofa. In everyone's lounge there is a TV, or most people's lounges.
And they point at the same. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got food available in the shops. Like, you don't have to go out and... Like, what kid is growing up thinking, oh, I'm so hungry. I know, I'm going to go catch a squirrel. Like, nobody's thinking that. They're going to Tesco's, you know?
In the UK and Western world, yes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe down in the deep south, you might be looking to hunt an elk. But even then, you hunt the elk once and you've got food for the year. Like, comfort is you're not hunting like foxes or coyotes or whatever just for tonight's dinner.
So comfort's been a goal to be worked towards, really, because comfort breeds sustainability, maybe.
Yeah.
In somewhat of a consistent in an unpredictable world. So we've been taught to strive for comfort in every walk of life. So when there is a bit of discomfort, we feel off kilter, we feel unsafe, we feel uncertain about our place within our community, our place in the world. So I suppose the question for me is, what role does discomfort play? Because if comfort is something to be strived towards, why do we have such a fear of discomfort, and really what role is it trying to play? So I suppose discomfort is probably a messenger, or maybe a sculptor rather than a threat. I suppose the instant response is to get fearful of the discomfort, to avoid the discomfort, to push it to one side, because it feels inherently uncomfortable. So what role does discomfort play?
In my experience, discomfort, I've trained myself to be a signal of doing the right thing rather than doing the wrong thing.
How so? And why so?
It's the idea of, I don't want to be average. Most people, as soon as they reach any discomfort, steer away from it. And we'll discuss more about maybe why that is. The very fact that I'm doing something that most people wouldn't be doing is inherently uncomfortable. Therefore, it must be the right thing because it's not the same path that everyone else is going to go down. Being average isn't cool. Being average is average.
It's so interesting how we've been taught that we want to be like everyone else. And there are all these quotes of like, be who you are, embrace who you want to be, and all these kind of cliches. But we are taught to, somewhat be average, fit in with the social norms, wear the clothes that everyone else wears, have the same hairstyle, the same fashion. So, I went up to Liverpool recently. And the beauty standard up there was so obvious.
What, as in they had to be
for
pretty?
Females? The beauty standard of just how you would dress, what type of style of makeup you would wear was so obvious. I was like, wow, people don't want to stand out here, do they? We've been taught there's safety in community, there's safety in being part of the herd. And to feel average probably means to be part of that herd. To be above average or different means you have to stand out from the crowd, you have to be the black sheep, you have to be isolated on an island by yourself, which is inherently uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's because you don't have the support. I think so much of it, you said it was taught, I don't know if it's taught necessarily verbally or like sit down, we're going to teach you how to fit into society. It's going to be people learn by watching what others do and replicating. So we're taught, like there's an expectation you have a friendship group. Okay, cool, I'll get myself a friendship group. Now, then what's required to get into the friendship group? Oh, well, if I look like them, sound like them, and can do the same activities as them, then there's a high chance I could become their friend, and therefore I have my group, and then I can tick that off the human checklist. Mm-hmm. Like, the lesson I think people should probably be thinking about is not going friendship group first or other people first. They should go them first. What do I want to achieve? What do I want to do? Start going relentlessly at that, and whoever you bump into on the way, they're probably the people to be friends with.
You find your tribe along the way, rather than adjusting to what other people would want you to be.
The tribe doesn't come first, which I think is the weird thing, because historically, if you were in a tribe, you're born into it. You already look like everyone around you. You already do the same activities. It's just one style of life.
I suppose that's why a lot of people maybe feel somewhat lost or alone in the modern world, is they automatically assume they need to adapt to the society or the standards in which they were brought up in. And don't get me wrong, this might be for a very small % of the population that feels slightly out of place, but there might be people that would feel more comfortable in a different country, a different part of the country they live in. But you're not going to know unless you step out of the comfort zone, or rather step out of the loneliness shell that you've kind of created in a place where you feel inherently uncomfortable. You've got to be sit in the discomfort of trying new things, of moving on. So I suppose discomfort is a signal for growth.
Yes, absolutely.
Not necessarily as a blanket statement. I'm sure there's things that are uncomfortable that aren't signs of growth. You know, if I've stubbed my toe, it's probably going to hurt. That's going to be just uncomfortable. But if I'm trying to step out from the average and become a better version of myself, rather than trying to become better than everyone else, just a better version of myself, it's going to feel uncomfortable. So I suppose the discomfort is going to appear when you're stepping out of your comfort zone or trying to challenge your own habits.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that a lot of what people work on when they go to therapy, is questioning old dialogues, old self-beliefs that you've had ingrained for so long? To break those is uncomfortable. But what's on the other side of that discomfort is growth and a new shell of a person, a new embodiment of someone you want to be. So yeah, discomfort, do you think it has a role in productivity?
Yes, that's a really good point. So when I'm feeling uncomfortable in life or feeling discomfort, I see that as a signal that I need to work harder, because to me, comfort is on the other side of the mountain of work. The problem is, well, it's not a problem. You can trick yourself into being uncomfortable so that you can complete work, which is what I do. Like, I realistically don't need to work today. I realistically don't need to work for the next 6 months. But I like the discomfort. I like the motivation to just keep going. And you can find your discomfort in anything. It could physically be where you live is a dangerous area. You have mold all over your walls, and I don't know, every time you go to sleep, you hear gunshots out the window. You probably feel discomfort. Therefore, you're motivated out of probably safety, to try and, better your life in some way, like move to a different area, and that's one drive. The other levels of discomfort is like where I am just isn't satisfying, like a big sense of discomfort for me. And I must emphasize this is in a healthy way, so it's not like, I mean, it does keep me up at night, but that's because I enjoy it keeping me up at night. It's very strange. If
it's going to be anything to do with work, you have a very weird relationship with work.
Yeah,
which I'm sure we'll dive in. We'll dive in on other episodes. We've dived in before with your growth of Will Taylor, your YouTube channel. But yeah, tell us.
Yeah, so my brothers are very, very motivated to work very hard. And that in itself causes discomfort for me, because if I decide to take a week off or a day off or go on holiday or do something that's just leisurely or leisurely, because we're from England, and we know how to speak English,
You what, bruv?
I just feel like they they're going to be getting ahead, and that's fine. Like, I want them to get ahead, don't get me wrong. It's not I want to win so you can't. It's I want us all to win, but I want to give it my absolute best to try and get to wherever we're trying to get to.
So it's like a interesting balance between comparison is the thief of joy, but also understanding that that is likely a signal to somewhere you feel like you could work harder in your life. So if you're seeing people work harder than you, or maybe put in a few more hours than you, you might have, well, yeah, comparison is a thief of joy. So you might be stealing some of your sort of internal joy because you're comparing to other people, but maybe that's showing somewhere in your life you feel like you could achieve more. So understanding the discomfort's going to come from getting from point A to point B. You know, it's that work. So discomfort is probably a marker of deep work and transformation rather than something to be avoided or pushed away. If you can truly embrace the deep work, the hard work, the productivity, likely that will feel uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Because everyone can half do something, you know, like I can go to the gym and put in minimal effort, not go to failure, not push myself to the point of like zone 5 when I'm doing cardio, whatever it might be, whatever your sort of pill might be when you're working out. But that discomfort, that lifting harder and heavier every week, one more rep, a little bit more weight, that's where the growth is, both mentally and physically, ironically.
Yeah.
So discomfort, yeah, it plays a role in our life for sure. But I suppose discomfort is a building block rather than something to be avoided, because it's going to build strength, whether that's physically, mentally, spiritually. It's going to be refined by leaning into challenges rather than sidestepping them.
For sure. And on that point as well of comparison as the thief of joy, it can also be a comparison not necessarily to others, but to past you. I think part of the motivation that I feel is I know how hungry I was for success and, you know, just to have some sort of views on YouTube, how hungry I was for that and how hard I was working back then. And since I had views and have subscribers, it's like I worry that I'll slip into a lazy mentality and I won't work as hard. Like, I know my brothers still have that beginning hunger. It's like I just can't fake that type of hunger. It's that you can't. So you've got to stress yourself to the point where you can feel some sort of need or drive.
Well, I don't know about having to stress yourself to the point of that, but I think the point you're making is valid, which is the most amount of inspiration you'll feel is at the beginning.
Absolutely.
And that's also probably when you're getting the most instant responses for dopamine, whether that's internal because I've learned something new, I've done something new. There's easy wins at the beginning, they're going to give you dopamine, or whether it's the dopamine from telling someone, I'm going to do this. Because as we know, telling someone you're going to do something is much the same response physically as actually doing the thing. But as you get further down the road, the wins are going to get bigger, but few and far between. So yeah, at the beginning you're likely going to have an influx of motivation, but the discomfort comes from, okay, now a lot of that internal, external, immediate validation is gone. I need to continue working to chase that again.
Yeah.
So the second part of this one is obviously avoidance is the enemy. So I suppose then the questions become, what's the danger of avoidance? So avoidance, whether that's physically, mentally, whatever it might be, avoidance is a natural survival response, which is designed to protect us from pain, but in this regard probably becomes the thief of potential.
Absolutely. Potential is a topic that, you know, I have struggled with, but also actively use as motivation.
Tell us about it. So how do you use thief of potential, or rather potential, as a motivator? Because I know how you use it, and it can be maybe perceived as positive or maybe perceived as negative, but everyone's going to feel a sense of potential within themselves, or rather should do. I hope people do feel a sense of potential of who they could be, what they could be if they work hard. But how do you use that? And maybe some people might find that helpful.
So my potential is every single day of my life, if I was to have worked on one thing, whatever goal I wanted to achieve from the start of my life, right the way to the end of my working life, for example, that would be 100% of my potential. I would have taken every opportunity. I would have worked every waking hour. I would have got there. That's 100% of my potential. Realistically, I didn't start on YouTube till I was really 17, 18, then took a few years off, then went back to it from like 22 to 25 now. I've already used up or wasted time when it's trying to get to 100% of my potential, because from year 0 to 18 or year 0 to 17, I did nothing in regards to learning how to make videos.
Should have been learning when you were 1, really.
I don't see why not. And then by 18 to 22, after I hit 1,000 subs, that whole time, wasted time in terms of getting to what I could really achieve. And now I'm thinking, right, I'm playing catch up now. It's only possible now for me to really achieve 70% of my potential. And the less time I work, the more potential I'm leaving on the table.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Please do.
For both yourself and other people. That is assuming we need to know exactly 100% with certainty where our life is going and to what degree of outcome we can achieve.
Yeah.
However, life is inherently unsustainable and inherently unstable, that you might spend a couple of years, being in a different role. COVID might happen, you become an accountant, whatever it might be. Life is going to throw so many different curveballs that this is my mindset, providing you're still learning and striving to embrace discomfort, to become a better version of yourself, you're still working towards that 100% potential. You might not have arguably achieved 100% potential, or rather 100% quote-unquote perfection within a chosen industry. But as long as you're always choosing to embrace discomfort, you're likely always chasing 100% potential.
Yeah.
But when you choose to embrace avoidance, then you're becoming a thief of your potential.
Absolutely.
Whether it's going to the gym, I could train consistently 4 or 5 times a week, but, it's difficult, it's uncomfortable, so I want to avoid it. I'll just go 2 times a week. That's stealing your potential of what you could be. Consistency when it comes to food, consistency when it comes to creating a business, consistency when it comes to reading, learning a language. The list is really endless. So the danger of avoidance is really, for me, how it would play out, I know I keep saying for me, I gotta stop it, is it's going to reinforce fear. So avoiding the hard thing will teach your brain that you cannot handle it, which is going to erode your self-confidence over time. So if you tell yourself, I cannot do this, your brain is going to start to believe that, because the power of words is massive. I know there's a big thing about manifestation and saying things into the mirror 10 times, but there's a degree of truth in that. Words have so much power that if you speak it and tell yourself you cannot do something, chances are you're not going to be able to do it, because you've already told yourself, you're already starting on a back foot. I know we both know a friend that is always injured because he tells himself he's always injured. And he's got that monologue of, well, once you turn 30, everything's downhill. It's like, I've got fitter and healthier since I've turned 30, because I'm telling myself I'm strong, I'm able, I'm capable. So it's going to reinforce fear. Choosing avoidance, or rather the danger of avoidance, is going to reinforce fear that you cannot do hard things.
And it's embodying the archetype of who you want to be. So
expand on that.
You go to the gym, you have embodied when people talk to you, they say, hey Connor, who are you, what do you do, what are your interests, right? One of the top things on that list is I'm really into fitness, and I like going to the gym, working out and bettering my health. And you've embodied what the character you had in your head, who is that person, would be doing. So with the person that embodies the type of person that's like, oh, I'm over 30, I'm injured, or whatever their thing is, they've not only said the words, but they're also living the lifestyle of the person that is always injured. They're going to be going to the gym, but they're going to be very conscious about whatever area is bad at that time and not train it as hard. And then that knocks on to then other things become weaker because you're not training as hard. And it's a constant cycle at that point.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
So then if you say, well, right, I'm going to wake up tomorrow, no matter what pains I'm feeling, I'm going to train like I am the number one bodybuilder in the world and I've got a competition in 6 weeks. Like, I'm just going to train like I can make up 12 years worth of difference in 6 weeks. And it's embodying that thing. It's how would you introduce yourself to somebody if you say, if I was to walk up, hi, I'm Will. I'm massively into fitness. I love going to the gym. I do it, 6 times a week and have a rest day on Sunday so that I can make sure I'm best prepared for the coming week. And I work round on a rotation, so I do push pull legs, and whatever it is. I'm embodying that person. But then it's not just what you say, it's you've actually got to be doing those things. And the more you do the things, the more you prove to yourself that you are that thing. If you avoid workouts or don't go to the gym or whatever, and it could be because you're injured. I'm not encouraging anyone actually works out if they're genuinely injured.
Of course.
And it doesn't mean that you're not going to feel aches and pains, but the psychology of still turning up, still going for it and being whatever that is. Like, I'm a YouTuber. I've embodied that. So naturally, I'm a YouTuber. What would a YouTuber do right now? Oh, they would be making a video. Therefore, I'm making a video. It's those sorts of things. I don't embody myself as a cleaner, therefore I don't clean.
Yeah, I'm aware. But no, you're right. It's embracing the type of person you think that is capable to do the things you'd like to achieve. If you try to do those things naturally, you'll start to embody them because you believe you can. Whereas avoiding things, you're already telling yourself you can't. You're starting on that back foot. So another way this could play out for people is like avoiding difficult conversations. So the discomfort when you're in a relationship is having a difficult conversation. Telling someone, hey, I didn't like when you did this. Can we work on our communication? Whatever it might be, that's going to be inherently uncomfortable, especially the first time you do it. Over time, you're going to learn it's actually not that scary. But if you avoid it, eventually when you bring something up, it's going to feel 10 times worse because you have, 1, not equipped yourself with that, 2, you've not set the standard of how the conversation should go. But if you're avoiding that, you're going to erode the relationship. Unspoken expectations are premeditated resentment. So if you're not sharing what's making you uncomfortable or what you're not enjoying, it's going to erode the relationship and the trust and you're just not even going to be able to have that difficult conversation with your person.
What's one thing in your life where you say things that what's your equivalent of like saying you're too injured to work out? What's the thing you avoid?
That is a really good question. Nothing immediately comes to mind, which I don't think is a good thing because I feel like I should be more aware of what I'm doing. I think when it comes to avoidance is maybe meeting people when it comes to romantic relationships. So I'm not very good at putting myself out on a ledge because it's uncomfortable. I don't like being seen. I don't like being thrust into an environment where I'm not in maybe full control of the outcome or the conversation. So when it comes to meeting people, I'm not great at putting myself out there and going, hi, I'm Connor. Should we grab a drink sometime? Whatever, and pick up line you might go, have you met me? No. So I suppose that's where I have avoided discomfort. And yeah, that's probably reinforced that, oh, now I can't go up and speak to people. Yeah. Oh, no, I definitely can't do that. Oh, no, Connor could never talk to someone. So,
do you find it easier to talk to people when you're out of your local environment?
Yes.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I'm the same. I find it way easier to talk to like the taxi driver in Prague than I do if I was to talk to a taxi driver in the UK.
Do you think it's because when you're in an environment you've already got external stimulus that tells you how to behave, or rather you've adapted yourself, your archetype, to behave within a certain way within the parameters that you live in. Whereas when you go somewhere new, that is all thrown out the window. So it's a new map to navigate with. So you can kind of change the rules a bit. You can play with it a bit. And then I suppose the skill is how can you incorporate that into your day-to-day life.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, so a few more on like dangers of avoidance. I suppose it creates stagnation. If you choose ease over effort, it's just going to create life that's maybe small and predictable. So I suppose there's loads of different dangers of avoidance, which, so discomfort is not the enemy. Avoidance is. Human suffering intensifies not because discomfort exists, but because we try to escape it endlessly. Growth begins when the resistance ends. So, last thing I suppose to talk about is How can we embrace discomfort? Because I would like to think we are both very good at embracing discomfort in elements of our life, but I'm sure there's other elements in our life we are not great at. So, yeah, instead of running from unease, mental health experts and philosophers suggest there's a few different strategies, like sitting with it, distinguishing danger from fear, small brave steps, and chase meaning. Are you good with sitting with it? Air quotes, sitting with it.
No.
So practice allowing space for the feelings without immediately trying to fix or numb it.
Nope. Like, discomfort to me is a signal to work.
It's interesting, that one, isn't it? I think sit with it is a really great place to start if you maybe don't know yourself very well. If you're someone that inherently lives very fast, inherently feels like there's so much noise in the background, and maybe has never had the ability to connect with who they are as a person, maybe constantly feel like they're living not a lie, but becoming someone they don't know. And it might get 10 years down the line and look at themselves and go, who is this person in the mirror? So I think sitting with it is a really great place to start for people that don't know themselves. So do you think you know yourself well enough?
I think so. It's not... Well, I think I've known myself all along. I think I've distracted myself with a lot of things which I needed to do to know that was off course, if that makes sense. So the accountancy thing, although on paper it was a smart decision, it's like, yeah, you're going to go here, get a salary, get the house, get the multiple houses, then just do music, and that's a great plan. That's away from my natural personality, my natural pull of what I want to do with my time. So that taught me a lot. And then as I quit my job and was able to just be me, I didn't have to put on a facade to please my bosses or to do anything. It was just, okay, now I'm just me. And that's quite intimidating just on its own, because it's like, this is me when I'm not showing off to other people. It's like I have nowhere to go, nothing to do. So maybe that's a scary thing for a lot of people to do, because you've got to accept whoever you are at that time.
Yeah, which is inherently scary, to accept yourself. I suppose ways to do that is when you are in new environments, or rather when you're just navigating life. What makes you happy? What makes you sad? You know, sometimes we try and overcomplicate things. So if you've said it before, if money wasn't an issue, or you took a month off and you were like just going to sit down, what do you fill your time with?
Yeah.
No, legitimately, what do you enjoy? And stop overcomplicating it. If you are someone that sits down and immediately picks up a book, awesome. You probably love reading and trying to create vivid and imaginative worlds within your brain. That's awesome. You're probably quite a creative person. So what other creative outlets can you do? You know, if you're someone that needs to maybe numb yourself, then yeah, maybe you need to find the ways to learn how to slow your brain down to connect with it. But yeah, I think getting to know yourself, however that might look for you, is both a scary and daunting task. I'm not going to undersell that, but sometimes it can be as simple as, what do I enjoy? Or rather, what do I don't enjoy? If you list off the things, because we said it before, humans are inherently
good at finding the negatives.
So if you find things you don't like, chances are if you flip it over, you'll find what you like.
Yeah, that's it. It's using the negativity bias to help you out. But I think as well, the pressure externally to go to school, go to college, go to uni, get a job, like, whoa, hold on a second. Where's the bit where I discover who I am, what college I want to go to, what I want to study, then the university, what I want to do at university, with absolute certainty that I'll love the career on the other side? How have we just skipped over that bit?
And we're also asking young adults to make those decisions when their brain isn't even fully developed yet.
That's it.
With female brain develops, I think, at 25 and the male brain at 28 or 29. We're asking humans to make big life decisions without a fully developed brain.
Yeah.
Wild when you think about it.
It's crazy, which is why I'm so pleased that I just discovered the do nothing thing. I think I found it. I think I watched it on a video, but I might have come up with it. I don't know. But I strongly recommend, if you don't know what to do at college, then definitely don't go to university until you have had a year where you force yourself to do nothing. Doesn't mean do nothing. It means you don't have any expectations. You wake up in the morning. What time did you wake up? Are you an early morning person? Do you feel like you've missed out on the day if you don't wake up in the morning? If you wake up in just the afternoons? Do you prefer to stay up late? And you might go through a phase, especially if you're young, where you're like, oh, I'm just going to go out clubbing this weekend. Oh, I'm going to go out clubbing again. But that year isn't just for leisure. It's actively figuring out what you do when there's no expectations, as I say.
Self-exploration.
Yeah.
Which is really important. And really, that's a great way to just embrace life, is just explore the things you're passionate about and do them without any fear of shame or guilt or judgment. Yeah, one more I do want to touch on practical approaches to embracing discomfort is distinguishing danger from fear. Because the brain registers them very similarly in the brain. So understanding when something is a danger, naturally you want to avoid danger. That's common sense. Whereas fear, I might be scared to quit my job. I might be scared to ask that person out. I might be scared to go to the gym. I might be scared to learn a new language. Again, the list is always endless. But learning to recognize when discomfort is a sign of a real threat versus just a sign of growth or uncertainty is huge. So learning to embrace the fear rather than choosing to run from the fear is a really great place to start.
Yeah. And it's fear of the unknown is quite often the actual fear.
In reality, most fears people have is the fear of the unknown and the fear of death. Really, I think those are always underlining most people's fears.
I can't say I've ever really been scared of, death. I don't think I've ever been that close to impending death. Even when I get on a plane, I'm more scared of what happens when I get to the other side rather than the actual fear of, I think this plane's going to go down and I'm going to die,
Maybe I don't think the certainty that life, there is always death after life.
Yeah. It's just very interesting. Because if you'd spoken, if I existed 5,000 years ago, I'd probably be thinking more that piranha's going to kill me, or,
Where are you living? The piranha's just going to jump out and get you.
I imagine when I put myself back in the olden times, I live in, the middle of the Amazon.
There's just piranhas everywhere. Up a tree, piranha!
Yeah. Well, I don't know where they're water animals, aren't they?
They are. Yeah. They're fish.
There you go. I don't know how they walk, though, if they live underwater. Maybe that's one for scientists.
Was that a joke?
I don't know how they move.
They're fish.
Oh, yeah, I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah, you need to do more. You need to do a deep dive into piranhas. And then our next 10-minute pod is just going to be about, what have you learned about piranhas?
Yeah. Cool, I'll do some research.
I like it. I'm proud of you.
Piranhas first evolved in the... what were we talking about?
We were talking about fear rather than danger.
Yes, we were. Yeah, so I think we've maybe touched on it on a previous podcast. Maybe not. I feel like I say that sentence every podcast now.
We're very wise.
Yeah. Sometimes points, I think, need to be repeated rather than new points need to be made.
Absolutely, yeah. It's also repetition because we might get new listeners on different pods.
Exactly. So I would say there's a difference between active physical danger and psychological danger. So psychological danger, I think the word we've created for that is fear. And physical danger is when you're staring at somebody that's going to stab you. Most people in their life aren't in constant physical danger. When you think about what the most important things are in life, I think most people would put survival at the absolute top. So physical danger, yes, you're allowed to be a bit scared of that. Psychological danger is all about how you framed the situation. So YouTube algorithm changing, Mr. Beast having a hissy fit. He's, 50% down on his views. Okay, that's bad for any business. 50% reduction in a month. And I imagine he's got the same mindset as I would have towards this and actively do, because I'm down 77%, is that's not a bad thing. It's a new opportunity. And just having that flip is really helpful. You could put it in a different context of relationships. Going and asking a girl out isn't going to put you in physical danger, unless it's like you're standing next to the husband. It's a psychological fear and a psychological danger. It's you're already thinking about all the ways it's going to go wrong rather than the opportunity and what could be. So it's just always flip it to the positive, which is, I find it so motivating. I'm just so pumped inside just even thinking about that.
Yeah, well, flipping to the positive is always a great way to try and navigate life. Unfortunately, humans, like we always said, have a negativity bias and always choose to outline the one negative rather than the 10 positives. However, yeah, if you're always chasing what the positive outcome could be, or rather you're aware of the negative and you flip it, this could go wrong in so many ways. Well, what's the positive outcome that could happen? And yeah, chasing meaning, following pursuits that provide fulfillment, because fulfillment is inherently uncomfortable because you've got to choose something you're happy to do day after day, but you find the love in the pursuit rather than the outcome. And discomfort is going to come. There's going to be months where you're going to have hard months if you're self-employed. There's going to be times where you have to have difficult conversations with your person, your paramour, whatever you might call them. But if you're focused on the fulfillment, what's going to come from the outcome, you're likely going to achieve the fulfillment. And the discomfort is going to become easier each time.
What's an area of your life that you felt a lot of discomfort? Have I already asked that?
You have, yeah.
I have.
What about you?
Should have listened to the answer.
So where have you found discomfort in your life, Will?
I felt discomfort not at the point of me making the choice to leave accountancy, but when I was fired from the first place. I say fired because it sounds better than just my probation didn't get accepted or extended. It was 9 months, the probation. It's crazy. So when I wasn't the person to make the decision, even though I wasn't necessarily upset by the decision for them to get rid of me, it's still the not knowing what comes next that's the problem. Interesting, I went home and I wrote a song that afternoon about being fired from my job. So it's like my brain was already pulling me in the direction I needed to go.
You were likely getting signals at that point as well, and sometimes it's being brave enough to listen to the signals. You're likely waking up going, oh, I really don't want to do this. You're likely not inspired by the work. You're likely not caring about the outcome. These are all small, subtle cues that you can, just maybe listen to a little bit more keenly.
Yeah. I think a signal I did have was if you don't see the point in the work you're doing.
Yes, 100% relate to that. If you don't see the point in the work you're doing, you're likely not doing the right work for you.
Yeah, like with the whole bookkeeping and accountancy, I kept thinking, okay, I'm doing this, but what's the actual knock-on impact if I didn't do this? This is surely just for their own wants and needs. And realistically, they'll look at the reports at the end of the month. But as long as I've got all the income in there and all the expenses in there, that's all the business cares about. But there's all this extra stuff that I'm being asked to do that is purely administrative, that is actually just, I just don't do it in my own business because it's why are you paying? And nobody gave me an answer. I would ask, I would say, what does this do for the business? And it was it gives them a report on, I don't know, how many emails they had last month. It's yeah, but none of them are sales leads. But they just wanted to know how many emails. There's no benefit to that. What are you on about? And the thing, you're then stuck in the trap of, you can't say to your boss that that's a terrible idea and I'm going to call up the business and say, I'm not doing that for you because there's no benefit and you'd be better off spending your time just focusing on the things that generate revenue. They don't let you do that.
What a shock.
But it's strange because that would be active advice that would actually help. There's no benefit to know how many emails are in your inbox.
Yeah, so I suppose, like you say, if you don't understand the work you're doing, you likely are not getting fulfillment from the pursuit of it. And you're right. I think I had that as I got closer to the end of my work with Intrepid, is I was no longer questioning why I was starting to question, why do I care about this year-on-year growth? Why do I care what the marketing team are doing? I don't see the tangible effort and outcome. And I'm like, you know what? I'm cool with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
You were never meant to live this fast. 10 things humans need to know, or rather, this is one of them. You were never meant to live this fast. The human nervous system evolved for rhythm, not constant stimulation. So the phrase is, kind of slightly different from what other people, modern philosophical sentiments have sort of implied, which is we weren't meant to live this fast. So a viral quote that critiques the hyperproductivity movement, the fast-paced nature of contemporary society. It's frequently shared on social media and in wellness circles to advocate sort of slow living and mindful presence. I suppose we need to just break it down and try and understand what it means by we were never meant to live this fast. Maybe it suggests that because we have constant stimulation in this modern world, we weren't meant for that. Maybe it means that we have now focused on hyperproductivity. You need to be optimized for every minute of the day, and chilling and doing nothing doesn't lead to a positive outcome. I suppose there's a lot of different avenues you can take it. Maybe the key theme is what we were quote unquote meant for. So are we designed for slowness and nature, connecting to natural rhythms of the physical world, so a bit more of a hippie response, or deep presence, so focusing on being in the moment rather than the next milestone, meaningful connections, maybe that's been lost as well, so having real conversations, laughter, community, care and outreach. Yeah, it's an interesting one. You're never meant to live this fast.
Bit of a duality as well, because in this age of hyperproductivity, we have also spent so much time optimizing comfort based on what we were talking about earlier. Like, we have Netflix, we have Prime, we have new sofa and bed technology so that we're able to, relax more easily, and holidays have become more available for people. Like, you don't have to be a millionaire anymore to get on a plane. Like, anyone could get on a plane now. But at the same time, we're hyper productive, and we do as many things as we can, and we do it as effectively as possible, and we care about year-on-year growth. And so are we living too fast? I think there's probably, as always, there's both sides. You have people that just take advantage of all the comforts that modern life provides, but you also have people, I suppose, a bit like us, which are purely focused, well, I'm probably more focused on productivity than you are, but just purely productivity based. And then you will get a few people in the middle, which I'm very jealous of, but you were there, I would say, on a mixture of doing activities that you enjoy and living a balanced life, as well as being productive when you need to be. So you've probably got the balance right. You're probably not living too fast, but I don't know.
It's interesting because I suppose there's different avenues that make life feel fast. So you've got the technological acceleration. So the modern tools that are designed to save time probably increase stress by facilitating constant, rapid information. So I suppose because of technological development, communication has been expedited. So it's quicker, it's easier to get information readily available, whether that's laptop, phone, AI, whatever it might be. There's communication there. But I also think maybe as we get older, we stop living through experiences as well. When you're younger, everything feels new and exciting. You try new things. And time, there's always that saying that time flies when you're having fun. But really, when you look back on a year and you've had more experiences and you've done more things, that year is probably going to feel a little bit longer. Whereas if you've lived the same day on Groundhog Day and your brain maybe doesn't need to take in as much information, life is probably going to move quicker for you, because you're going to look back and go, what have I done this year? I've done nothing. Yeah. Oh my God, I've wasted a year. There's also the proportional theory as well, which is really interesting. So when you're 10, a year is 10% of your life.
Yeah.
But at 50, a year is only 2%. So like you say, it's a weird duality as you're getting older. Do you think you're living life too fast?
No, I think I'm wasting a lot of years
Tell me why.
because I live the same day over and over and over. Like, this year has been really good in terms of experiences for me. I've been to Wales, climbed up Snowdon, I've been to Prague, I've been to Harry Potter World. These are experiences that will stay in my brain for a long time. Now, I've been to Harry Potter World 9 times, but I love every time I go and there's something different, and it's just a great day. Next year, I plan to potentially go to Bangkok. I plan to go to Bali. I plan to, keep doing the podcast, growing the YouTube channel, doing things that I enjoy, but I'm trying not to just live the same day over and over and over. But it's very difficult when my job requires me to work the same day over and over and over. Like, the video that comes out is different, but the process of I'm going to film it, and then you find a format that you like and enjoy working with. Therefore, you're literally having the same camera angles for every video. You're having the same editing process for every video. Like, there's not much difference, but I sort of enjoy that. But when I look back, it doesn't give me differentiation between days, so the years still feel like they've just flown by. Like, 2025 has just disappeared.
So it's creating moments, it's creating glimmers, it's creating remember whens. I think I've said about this topic before, and I think you rebutted with something similar, but having a jar that you can write down little notes. Oh, do you remember when we went to Harry Potter World? Do you remember when we climbed Snowdon? Putting them in the jar at the end of the year, you look back and go, wow, been one hell of a year.
Remember when the camera on Will was facing
the wrong way?
The wrong way.
We need to do that on every episode. No one cares about looking at you, really, do they?
It's true. We only do it because I feel like we should have two cameras. We should really have 3. I really want to get 3.
We'll get there.
Yeah, it's frustrating though. It's like, because
I'll buy a new iPhone and then we'll have 3.
Done, sorted.
I also don't have enough money for a new iPhone.
But why? You bought this ages ago.
Yeah, it's 2.2 grand.
It's quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, big old investment.
I'm gonna need to get a new computer.
Yeah,
I've blown through it in a year.
Damn. Wild.
It's running at about 4,000 degrees Celsius. Yeah, it's hot.
Hotter than the sun.
Yeah. How hot is the sun?
I don't know. Very hot.
Must be quite hot.
Must
to
be
feel
like
it from here.
100 or something.
100. 100 million.
Yeah, it's boil water, in a couple of minutes, I reckon.
Couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Just get vaporized.
Yeah, what I like is through experiences you can broaden your horizons and slow your life down. I really like, this is just a little side note, we're not going to dive into it but I love that next year you're talking about so many different experiences that you would never have had if we didn't start this, and also vice versa. There's so many things I'm doing because we've started this, which is awesome. And that feels like life is getting inherently more exciting and slowing down because it's not Groundhog Day for us. It's new and exciting. So how can we slow time down? I know that's not the right phrasing, but how can we feel like we're getting the most out of life?
I think talking to people is a big one. I think hanging out with groups of friends, having a Christmas meal with all the friends. I want to do that, and we'll do it after Christmas or maybe in the new year. But that's a fun thing to do that you'll be able to remember. Do you remember last year when we did this? Doing things that actively, you wake up in the morning and you're actively excited about doing. Like, I woke up this morning really tired. I'm still catching up from my 2:30 a.m. morning.
Crazy. That'll take me a good week.
And, well, it's about your wake-up time normally, isn't it? Oh, got to go to the gym. But I woke, and I'm actively excited about the fact that we get to do podcasts, and I edited a video this morning in my excitement. I just love doing it. I've got videos to make this afternoon after we finish the podcast recording. I'm very excited about doing that. So I think as long as you're doing things that you're fulfilled by, excited by, obviously if you've blessed yourself with the ability to not be stressed about money is also nice because it means you can live more freely. But then again, if you are living paycheck to paycheck but you find your work really fulfilling, I don't think that's a problem. Like,
Yeah.
the goal is to feel fulfilled, surely.
So yeah, you've almost made two separate points there, and both I think are extremely valid. The first, I suppose, is fostering authentic communications and connections. So prioritizing deep, meaningful interactions with close family members and friends, and maintaining them as well. They're likely going to feel very connected, and it's going to allow you to feel very present in the moment. If when you meet up for people, it is let's connect, let's be honest and open, let's put our phones away, let's get to know each other. You're likely going to come away from that conversation feeling very, and providing it's a two-way conversation, very enriched, very connected, and likely come away going, wow, like that was a really meaningful use of my time, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
And I suppose as well, like on top of the connections is your community engagement. So focusing on your local area, connecting with people locally and trying to join local clubs, local gyms, whatever it might be, something to just fill your time, but in a way that's so meaningful and purposeful built. And then, yeah, the other one you said is focusing on fulfillment rather than stimulation, I suppose. It's focus your time onto something that you actually don't mind spending 6 hours on, and then you've come away and gone, wow, that was a really, productive use of my time. One I'd like to touch on is obviously there's so much that to be said on FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
I hate the terms, but JOMO, joy of missing out. Yeah. So consciously choosing to say no to social or professional events that drain your energy. I feel like I'm great at that when it comes to work, because obviously my office is in London. It takes me 2 hours, door to door, best case, to get home. And sometimes there's events on in the office, and everyone has said, oh, do you remember last time when we did all this? I'm like, you know what, for me, sometimes I just need to reclaim some of my time and space, rather than feeling like I've got to go to work, I've got to go to the gym, then I've got this social event. So understanding it's okay to prioritize time for yourself.
Absolutely.
That rest and relaxation for yourself, whatever that might be, whether that's reading a book, meditating, gaming, people choose to do. So as long as it's time where you feel like you're chasing fulfillment, but just trying to refill your cup, really important. I suppose as well, there's mindful practices you can do to slow your life down. So slow food, have you ever heard that?
No.
Okay, so it's a term that's coined in regards to step away from convenience food, so fast food, microwave meals, microwave oven pizzas, stuff like that. So, and enjoy the process of cooking from scratch, like the mindful connection that comes with cooking. So preparing the meal, cooking the meal, eating the meal, and rather than distracting yourself, I'm eating while like watching TV, I'm chewing and I'm finishing that bite, and then I'm swallowing, and then I'm taking the next bite. This is something I try to practice about when I'm eating as well, is not taking the next mouthful until that mouthful I've got has gone.
I wolf it down.
Yeah.
I only eat microwave meals and take out. I'm not doing this right.
Yeah, maybe you need to embrace some slow food mindsets.
Maybe.
But also you can have digital detox as well, so opportunities to set strict boundaries with technology. Do you limit screen time after 10 p.m, 8 p.m, whatever it might be for you, whatever time you go to bed, and are having times where you just really unplug and connect with yourself. So slowing life down, quote unquote slowing life down, is a really great place to just reclaim some autonomy and avoid burnout. So I think people see burnout as like a personal failure because they've pushed it too hard and they've done too much. But I suppose it's just a biological sign that life has become unsustainable.
I see burnout as a personal success.
Why?
Because it means I've been going as hard as my body will let me.
Arguably you're going harder than your body will let you.
Yeah, maybe. And
you could say arguably that that's actually less productive than just being consistent.
I don't know. If you're consistent but only work 5 days a week, me working 6 days a week, burning out on the 7th day, I've done more work.
There's arguments to be made, I suppose, on both sides, but if you can stay consistent and allowing yourself rest and relaxation, you're likely going to feel like you're spending your time arguably better, playing devil's advocate with the not meant to live this fast. But yeah, you're right, speed feels productive, but it can quietly erode depth, patience, and meaning. So I suppose it's just suggesting this one to get back in touch with an authentic way of living, whether that's going for a walk in nature, whether that's connecting with people, finding time to be honest with yourself, with other people. Yeah. Do you think you live too fast?
I'm quite comfortable with the speed I live life at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, still excited when I wake up every morning. Like, I get to do what I want to do all the time. Yeah.
Nice.
So I can't complain, which is a really boring answer, but
No, not at all.
I'm enjoying life a lot. What about you?
I definitely was living too fast. I think that was evident by how I was choosing to spend my time. Whereas now, I feel like I'm living at a really nice pace. I am nervous about when I go traveling, because that's inherently a little bit slower. You know, there are days where, you know, you do something in the morning and then you're not doing anything in the afternoon, and my productive brain will be like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But that's likely when I'll take myself to the gym, or I'll start learning more on podcasting or connect with people. So I'm going to try and embrace that side of life. And reality, it might just be a season, you know, because if I go straight to Oz, or we come back here and do another work block, that's going to be deep work, you know? So it's just...
And fulfilling. Really fulfilling.
Big time. Well, I'm really excited to see the progression, because we're going to do such a block recording, to see the progression from where we are when we're recording them to then where we are when all of those have finally been released.
Yeah.
Because it might be minimal subscribers, but the content's going to be getting better. The conversation's going to be getting better. We're going to become more natural at them. So yeah, really excited for that, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're going to touch on the last one for today. You are not meant to carry everything alone. 10 things humanity needs to know right now. You're not meant to carry everything alone. Which immediately makes me think of hyper-independence. You know, hyper-independence is often unhealed abandonment in disguise, because you feel the need to be hyper-independent, to not allow outside help or support. You feel the need to just lock in and be by yourself. And hyper-independence, although definitely has benefits because you learn to be so self-sufficient, but it means that you are isolated. So you're not meant to carry everything alone. Yeah, I like that one. It's a powerful reminder, often spiritual or motivational context, that life's burden, stress, fear, guilt, heavy responsibilities are too much for one person, and it's okay and arguably necessary to seek support. What support avenues do we think there are out there for people if they feel like they're carrying everything alone?
I think for me, family is always a good go-to. They're generally quite understanding because they've seen you at every stage of your life. It's one of the things I'm very lucky to have, like a family that I can just reach out to and talk to about whatever I'm struggling with at the moment. But the other one is obviously friends. They're like the go-tos. Like if you're feeling like you just need to lock in and go like super hard independently at something. For me, family is more effective than friends, because when friends tell me that I'm doing something wrong, my brain's tricked me to tell me that I'm doing something right, because there's going to be friction when I'm trying to achieve like mental things, and my friends simply haven't achieved or don't want the same things. It's very difficult for me to see like their side of it, because it's like I'm coming from the perspective of I'm still only on block 1 and you're telling me I've finished.
Do you think friends, though, will always have your best intentions in mind, or do you think it's good to maybe take things with a pinch of salt? Because I think family, yeah, a really great avenue. Family, I hope, for most people, will always have their best intentions at heart. However, I feel like some friends may or may not. You know, some people don't like to see their friends succeed because it makes them feel worse about themselves. It pulls on an insecurity. But there are legitimately people out there, and I know that we surround ourselves with similar people that want the best for us and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. I do feel Like I always, everything anyone says to me, I always take with a pinch of salt because I like to run it through my own filter. But I found advice from people who don't know me. So if I go into like LiveCon, for example, and getting advice from different people, from like one of the editors at Channel 4 or their social media manager, and one of the people at ITV, one of like the people from all over the place, they were giving advice. I ran through a thing, I was like, this sounds an awful lot like advice for you. It doesn't sound like advice for me. Because people can only meet you where they're at. They can't always meet you where you're at. It's your job as the person looking for advice to scrutinize the advice, but gracefully. So you obviously want to get somebody else's input and let it sort of guide you and steer you, because it gives you that extra perspective. And yeah, but there's obviously different people with, I'd take different amounts of, like if Alex or Mosey told me something, I'd probably believe that an awful lot more than if, you know, somebody that's day one of setting up their laundromat, you know. It's like, it's experience plays into it. And also the topic. If I'm getting advice on how to run marathons, I'd probably go to one of our friends. If I'm getting advice on how to build muscle or like go to High Rocks, I'll probably go to another one of our friends. If I'm trying to get, I don't know, just general advice, like any of them are good, you know. So it's difficult one, but I think you did, like, it depends how much you've optimized your life. Like I pick my friends very carefully.
Yeah, so. You've optimized everything of your life. Yeah, so you're not meant to carry everything alone. You are right that there's going to be people that will have your best interest at heart, and there's other people that maybe won't, and maybe you need to just be a little bit cautious in who you're reaching out for support with, because there's definitely people out there that will give you advice that's based on their knowledge and their experience, and would be the best advice for them, not necessarily the best advice for you. I suppose as well, not meant to carry everything else or carry everything alone. There's definitely going to be spiritual elements of it. You know, I'm not religious at all, but there is the invitation of Christ. So when I was planning for this episode, there was a quote from Matthew 11:28, where Jesus invites those who are weary and carry heavy burdens to come to him for rest. So, you know, bringing in a spiritual element to your life, whether that's religion, spirituality, you know, any type of the religion which you choose to sort of identify, there's definitely an element of letting maybe a higher power in, or accepting that maybe there is a higher power. So there's definitely a spiritual side of it, religious side of it, friends, family that are always there to support you. People do self-isolate as well. This is the issue both with hyper-independence and the world we live in. We are taught that independence is admirable, but hyper-independence is arguably not. You know, it's that double-edged sword of sometimes what's good for you can also be bad for you. It's good to be independent. It's good to not rely on other people. It's good to be self-sufficient and self-confident. But if that is at the detriment of allowing people into your life, allowing connections to flourish, allowing growth to happen, it's likely not a great jumping off point. You know, like, community is not weakness, it's survival encoded into human biology, really. So, from a mental health perspective, you know, the strong one, quote unquote, archetype is, again, arguably something that we have been told to strive towards. And I know men have been encouraged, you know, men don't speak about their emotions. Men are hyper independent, and that's what a strong man is. Whereas vulnerability is a strength. You know, that took me ages to understand that as a child. You know, experts suggest that asking for help is an act of bravery and self-care, not weakness. Holding everything inside can lead to emotional exhaustion and physical symptoms like tension, insomnia, anxiety. So yeah, do you see vulnerability as a strength?
Got to be careful what I say. I see vulnerability as a sign of weakness when it comes to achieving a goal. At the same time, as you said, asking for help and being brave enough to go and seek out the answers that you need, I see as a strength.
So maybe I need to reframe the question for you. Do you see asking for help as a weakness or as a strength?
That's a strength for sure. Like getting is the I happen to life rather than life happens to me sort of mentality. If you're letting whatever problem you're facing happen to you rather than you making active strides to achieving it, then I would say you're being vulnerable, and it's not a strength because you're letting things just push you around, and that's not how you're going to make any waves. Whereas if you're actively asking for help, finding the answers, and actively striving towards something, you're in the power position. But when the problem is just there's a problem, then there's another problem, then your views are down, and then your click-through rate's low, and then like you don't get paid any money. It's like, well, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to stop making videos for a week, and maybe that'll no, just stop. You know, you need just happen to life. That's
happen to life. Take a little bit of ownership, but understand that people are there to assist. It's okay to ask for help, and it's actually quite brave and admirable.
And ask the stupid questions, because quite often you don't need to worry about what the question is going to be, because when I was at LiveCon, there was people talking about loads of stuff, and there was an assumption that you would know about all the different streaming code type. Like, I don't really know what it is. I did ask, so a lot of things then fell into place because I had that extra understanding. But there's like different types of streaming where you've got RMPNT or something or other, then you've got SRT, and then you've got all these different types of streaming encoders, and that I had no idea what that was on about. But everyone was like nodding, going, yeah, that's really good. Oh, you've created new architecture for SRT. Yeah. I was like, no idea. I'm just going to put my hand up in front of 200 people and just then after I asked it, a few people were like, oh, thank you so much for doing that, because I had no idea what they were talking about. But once you ask the question, you understand some sort of idea on what the conversation is, then you can participate.
Yeah.
And then all the other things I was saying was started to make sense. I was like, oh, that would make sense now, because and then you can start to attach other ideas. So just asking one seemingly stupid question isn't just answering that question, it's answering all the future questions you would have related to that thing, because you didn't have the fundamental understanding.
It's better to be a fool for 5 minutes than it is to just never ask a question and to just never grasp that level of understanding.
Yeah, stupidity for 5 minutes better than ignorance for life.
100%. Completely agree there. Yeah, it's better to look like the fool and ask the quote-unquote dumb question. It's definitely better to that, because you're going to gain so much more. And like you say, there's chances are, if you ask a dumb question, there's other people that were also thinking that same question that likely didn't have the bravery to ask.
Yeah, it's like charity. You asking questions in front of other people, because you're giving them the answers that they wouldn't have otherwise had. There you go.
Yeah.
Information charity.
Information charity indeed. Yeah. Not meant to carry everything else alone or everything alone. More sort of tangible things as well. It's just delegating tasks as well. So if it's, say, you're someone that's employed and you're feeling like life is too much, or you're in a management position, you need help, delegate to people. Reach out to those that are there to support you. Allow them to support you, and also it gives you the opportunity to grow because you've asked or wanted to delegate, and it also gives them the opportunity because you've given them the space to progress as a person.
Yeah.
So when it comes to leaning on other people, it is daunting, it is scary, but it's okay, and it's actually quite healthy. And again, we are social creatures. It is legitimately in our DNA. The majority of loneliness and desire to be alone in modern society is manufactured by the system we live in, and by doing things alone, which is admirable to be independent, but we are social creatures. Do not be afraid to ask or connect with people. Share some of the burdens that are on your mind. Open up to those closest to you. And honestly, I reckon people's life will expand and become greater and stronger for that reason.
Absolutely.
Strength, it's got one here. Strength is not self-sufficiency, it's knowing when to lean. So there's definitely strength in being self-sufficient, but it's also knowing when to ask for help. which is really important. Do you carry everything alone?
Nope.
No?
I share my burden with my girlfriend.
Lucky her.
Yep. And she's usually blissfully unaware of its impact on life in general. So
Isn't that so interesting?
It's just a
Sometimes people don't understand the depth of help they've given someone.
yeah.
You know, you just asking for help might seem small and insignificant to her, but actually it's had a profound impact for you.
Yep.
I was definitely leaning into hyper independence, and the ironic thing is I was never aware of it. It was when I was in therapy, I was talking, and however many sessions in, I don't know. He went, "Do you think you're independent?" I went, "No." And he went, "I would counter that and say you're hyper independent." I went, "Oh, wonderful." So yeah, I would definitely created a space where I didn't feel like I could ask or feel like I could invite support into my life, which I'm working on now, trying to get better at. Constant battle.
I think you're doing pretty well.
Getting
Like,
better.
you're very socially connected, and I don't imagine you have many surface. Well, I think you do have a lot of surface level relationships, but I think you've got a lot of deep relationships as well.
Yes, I do have a lot of deep relationships. I was having a discussion with some of the friends I saw up in Liverpool where they were like, "I can't imagine you don't have deep conversations with people, Connor, at any level." And I was like, "Yes, I am that friend that people come to have deep conversations. It's generally tiring, but I love it." No, I do really love it. I'm really grateful for that, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
No, it's good to be able to understand on another level. It actually feels like you're doing something, you know, other than just how was your coffee.
Yeah, for sure. And like you say, it's being the fool of asking what feels like a dumb question, but actually that person might want to really connect and have someone to just listen to.
Yeah,
We've covered some really great ones today, man.
we have.
Discomfort is not the enemy, avoidance is. You were never meant to live this fast. You are not meant to carry everything alone. Which one jumped out at you?
The first one was so good.
Discomfort is not the enemy, avoidance is. I loved that, man. That was such a good discussion. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Beneficial as well.
Who would believe it? That we're actually being beneficial. I've written down my word.
Oh, yeah.
Can you guess it?
Piranha.
No. That would have made sense.
It would have. What did you write?
Ear.
Oh, okay.